The legend of Bigfoot is inextricably linked to the cover of darkness. It is a creature of shadow and silence, a phantom of the deep woods that uses the night to hunt, travel, and evade the prying eyes of humanity. For the seasoned investigators of the Expedition Bigfoot team, veteran Bigfoot researcher Russell Acord, renowned primatologist Dr. Mireya Mayer, and investigator Bryce Johnson, this nocturnal theory was a cornerstone of their methodology. But during a harrowing expedition in the heart of the Alaskan wilderness, they discovered a terrifying corollary. The darkness that hides a creature can also become a trap for those who seek it. On this night, the roles were not just blurred, they were violently reversed. The hunters had unmistakably become the hunted. A high-tech plan in a primeval wilderness. The team had arrived in Alaska armed with cutting-edge technology and a wealth of collective experience. After days of preliminary research, they had narrowed their focus to a remote, unnamed mountain lake, a place that satellite data and local lore suggested was a hotspot of unexplained activity. The plan was a model of tactical precision. Bryce Johnson and Dr. Mireya Mayer would take up positions on opposite sides of the dense forest surrounding the lake. Under the veil of night, they would begin a slow, deliberate advance towards the water, creating a pincer movement. The objective was to flush any large, unidentified creature out of the timber and onto the open banks. There, Russell Acord, operating from a central command point, would be waiting. His tool was a state-of-the-art, tethered thermal drone, an eye in the sky, designed to capture clear, undeniable thermal evidence of whatever emerged from the woods. From the outset, the environment proved to be a formidable adversary. The Alaskan taiga was a brutal, unforgiving labyrinth. A thick carpet of fallen logs, snapping twigs, and thorny underbrush made stealth nearly impossible. Every footstep was a potential ankle-breaking misstep or a thunderous crack in the silent night. The flashlights they carried cast long, dancing shadows that played tricks on the mind, their beams swallowed by the immense, primeval darkness. The team was not just searching, they were struggling against the land itself. The first signs, an unseen presence. It was Dr. Mireya Mayer who first detected the shift in the atmosphere. As she moved cautiously through the timber, her senses, honed by years of fieldwork in remote jungles, went on high alert. A rustling sound, subtle at first, then distinct, emanated from the canopy just a few meters to her left. This was not the random scuttling of a squirrel or the flight of a bird. It was a deliberate, calculated movement. Something large was tracking her progress from above, moving parallel to her path with an unnerving grace. It seemed to be intentionally staying just outside the reach of her flashlight beam, understanding its function and its limitations. Simultaneously, Bryce Johnson's voice crackled over the radio from his position across the lake. He, too, was hearing things, disembodied footsteps, the sound of something heavy shifting its weight in the darkness. The feeling was no longer a mere hunch, it was a shared, visceral certainty. They were not alone, and they were being watched. The psychological weight of this realization was immense. Bryce, seeking a moment of refuge and clarity, found a large rock formation to use as a blind. Hunkering down in the utter blackness, he radioed the team, his voice a low whisper that betrayed the tension they all felt. "I'm just sitting here in total darkness. I have a huge stump as a blind to my back. I feel like a sitting duck." The mission had changed. The objective was no longer just to find evidence. It was to understand the nature of the intelligence that was now actively observing them. The tension escalated from unnerving to heart-pounding when Mireya, scanning the forest around Bryce's last known position with her thermal camera, saw it. A massive, upright heat signature was standing perfectly still behind a large tree, its form partially obscured but undeniably large and bipedal. The sheer size of the thermal glow was staggering. "Bryce, I've got a huge heat signature behind a tree to your north," she whispered into her radio. "It's just standing there." The creature remained frozen, as if it was not just hiding, but watching Bryce's concealed position. It displayed a level of awareness that was chilling. It seemed to understand that the thermal technology could detect it, and it used the tree as strategic cover. When Bryce, guided by Mireya's instructions, slowly rose to investigate, a wave of technological interference struck. Mireya's thermal imager, a sophisticated piece of equipment, suddenly flickered and died, plunging her screen into static. By the time it rebooted mere seconds later, the space behind the tree was empty. The creature had vanished into the night as silently as it had appeared. It was a moment of profound disquiet. Their technological advantage had been not only neutralized but seemingly anticipated. While Bryce was dealing with the phantom in his vicinity, Mireya's own situation was deteriorating rapidly. Shifting her position, she began to see movement with her naked eye, a large, dark, shadowy figure moving confidently on two legs through a thicket. It moved with a fluidity that was both animal and humanoid, expertly using the trees as cover. In a baffling and deflating twist, when she raised her thermal camera to get a confirmation, the device registered nothing. The figure, clear to her eyes, was completely invisible to the thermal imager. It was a walking void, a silhouette that absorbed light and heat alike. As she tried to process this impossibility, the thermal camera suddenly flared back to life on its own. In the same area where the shadow figure had been, she now saw not one, but two colossal, blazing heat signatures. They were enormous, dwarfing any bear or moose. "This is the biggest heat signature I've ever seen." "It's huge," she radioed to Russell, her voice tight with a mixture of scientific awe and raw fear. "And now there's another one to the left. There's multiple creatures walking over there." The two giant thermal anomalies then began to move, not randomly, but with clear purpose. They were advancing directly toward her position. "He's too far away," the terror of isolation. In the command center, Russell Accord's calm, military-trained demeanor was stretched to its limit. Hearing the data from Mireya and the tension in her voice, he made a swift decision. "Bryce, you need to move to Mireya's position now." "She's too exposed," he ordered. As Bryce began his frantic trek around the lake, Mireya hunkered down, her world shrinking to the few yards in front of her. The sounds of the forest became a terrifying symphony. The crunch of branches and the heavy, rhythmic footsteps she had heard from a distance were now alarmingly close, as if whatever had been watching her was now closing in. A wave of relief washed over her as she heard the approach, assuming it was Bryce. "Bryce, is that you?" she whispered into her radio. The voice that came back was Russell's, and its message was chilling. "Mireya, I need you to back out of that area. Bryce is a quarter-mile away. He's too far away for him to be right in your vicinity. Back out. Now." The blood ran cold in her veins. The entity moving toward her, making no attempt to hide its approach, was not her teammate. She was utterly alone, with at least two large, unidentified creatures between her and any hope of help. Adrenaline took over. She turned and began a careful but swift retreat, moving away from the water source as Russell instructed, every sense screaming that she was being followed. After what felt like an eternity, a breathless Bryce Johnson finally linked up with a visibly shaken Mireya. Russell, monitoring from above, felt a wave of relief knowing his team was no longer isolated. Yet, their reunion did not dispel the pervasive dread. As they moved together, both Bryce and Mireya were gripped by the undeniable, skin-crawling sensation of being watched. The creatures were still out there, maintaining a perfect, invisible perimeter around them. They were not fleeing, they were shadowing. The Expedition Bigfoot team had gone into the Alaskan wilderness seeking to solve a mystery. They emerged with something far more profound and terrifying, the first-hand, chilling knowledge that they were not at the top of the food chain in that remote corner of the world. The intelligence they encountered was not merely that of a hidden animal, but of a conscious, tactical entity that could evade their technology, manipulate their perceptions, and turn their own hunt into a relentless, psychological game where they were merely the prey. The memory of that night, of the cracking branches, the silent thermal giants, and the chilling realization of isolation, would forever be etched in their minds as the night the legend became terrifyingly real. The harrowing events of the Alaskan wilderness, where the line between hunter and hunted was so terrifyingly erased, underscore the profound bravery and exceptional dedication of the Expedition Bigfoot team. In the face of an intelligent, elusive, and potentially dangerous presence, Russell Acord, Dr. Mireya Mayer, and Bryce Johnson did not surrender to fear. Instead, they showcased the very essence of exploration, the courage to press forward into the unknown, even when the unknown is actively pressing back. Russell's steady, tactical command under extreme pressure, Mireya's razor-sharp scientific observations amidst rising terror, and Bryce's steadfast determination to reach his teammate through treacherous, pitch-black terrain. These are not the actions of sensationalists, but of serious investigators operating at the very edge of discovery. They endure physical exhaustion, psychological warfare from an unseen intelligence, and the brutal elements, all while maintaining a commitment to rigorous methodology. This unwavering resolve in the pursuit of one of humanity's most enduring mysteries is precisely why their mission is so critical. They are not merely chasing a legend, they are gathering data, applying forensic science, and documenting encounters with a level of professionalism that demands respect and support. Therefore, to the fans and believers who follow their every step, your role is indispensable. Your viewership, engagement, and encouragement are the wind at their backs. You are the vital partners in this quest, providing the foundation that allows them to return to the field, to refine their technology, and to continue risking it all for a glimpse of the truth. Let us continue to stand firmly with Expedition Bigfoot, championing their brave efforts as they venture into the shadows, reminding us all that some mysteries are worth any peril to solve.